welcome to the Lil Podcast. In this episode of the Leading in Love podcast, which also is known as the Lil Podcast, we will be joined by singer, songwriter, and dancer Ticky, and we'll be discussing the topic of identity and its complexities, such as mental health and personality types, and how this can affect our public and private identities. How have you been?
No, I'm kidding. No, I've been okay.
You got a new single out, haven't you?
Yes. Have you heard it?
Yes,
Diamond.
of course, yes, of course.
Yeah,
Of
I
course.
wrote that actually a few years ago.
I saw the video. You wasn't in the video.
No,
Yeah, so you got some
Actors.
actors. Oh, how was
Yeah.
that?
it's more of a representation. I actually did it through somebody else. I just told him what kind of storyboard I wanted, and then he created it, and he did a really good job.
Where was it filmed? Was it in the UK?
I don't know.
You don't know.
No.
That's so. Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Remote.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so interesting.
I gave him the script. I gave him the vision I had behind the
Mhm.
storyline. How, you know, little pieces of coral that can,
Mhm.
if we survive under that pressure, we can become diamonds. So, yeah.
Diamonds so precious like diamonds so shine in your eyes. If not, leave me now. I don't wanna go, but you've got to let me go now.
What's your favourite lyrics? I'm a woman of lyrics from that. Or your favourite
Oh
lyric?
God,
Don't-
I wrote all of them. So
Yeah, so, yeah.
everything is, you know, it means something. It's
Yeah.
not just
Does anyone
random.
particular one stand out to you at the moment that you feel like is yeah.
Facing my demons.
Really? Wow. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
All right then. Well, anyway, yeah. I feel like we do have a good chemistry, and that's why you're here again. And yeah, be
Thank
able to
you.
have like easy flowing, deep, authentic conversation. That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, we're gonna, like I said, in this episode of the Lil Podcast, we're gonna be discussing identity and its complexities, such as personality types and mental health. So we're gonna start off with personality types. So as we all know, personality type can have a big impact on our identity and how others perceive us. Based on the following descriptions, which personality types would you say you are? So first of all, we'll start with an extrovert or introvert. Extroverts are generally outgoing and social, and they get energy from being around others. And introverts are more reserved and reflective, needing time alone to recharge. So what would you say? What would your answer to that one be?
Oh, I've definitely not got a doubt on this one. Extrovert. I'm definitely an extrovert.
Okay.
Yeah, I gain energy being around other people. With time, I have noticed I need my alone time as well. I do like to do certain things alone because I feel I'm more productive.
Okay.
But to gain energy, I need to be with people.
Oh,
If I'm on my own, I just become depressed.
oh, bless. I am literally an extrovert, but it's just living in London gets a lot sometimes. And sometimes I'm overwhelmed and like I just need to like
Get a
hide
break.
hide away from everyone.
Well,
It's
I knew extrovert who's worked in hospitality. They become introverts. They're like, I've had enough. Of
I don't
people.
like people anymore.
Go home. But
Gosh.
yeah, so you can change. I
Yeah.
do believe it. I think we're everything. This is the MBTI
Yeah.
personality, right? Test. I believe we're everything, but obviously we've got a side that we prefer, a preference. You know, it's like we use both hands, but one we use a bit more.
Yeah.
So definitely for me, it's the extrovert, although I do have introvert moments as well. Yeah.
I feel like these days extroverts get a really bad rap because of like social media and stuff. I read this today. I thought it was really judgmental. Actually, insecure people always need to be heard. They aim to prove their knowledge and feel important. They seek status by getting attention. Secure people are happy to listen. They want to improve their knowledge and make others feel important. They earn respect by giving attention.
Well, that's obviously somebody who's experienced that kind of stereotype.
Yeah.
Because there are people who need to talk and need to prove themselves and need to feel, but that's not necessarily everyone.
Yeah.
You know, just because you talk a lot, it might not necessarily mean that you're insecure.
Yeah. Do you know what I find really interesting about that? I love people that talk a lot. So like when I hear that people find it so offensive that someone's talking a lot, sometimes I do have moments where someone's talking so much and they're talking about really boring stuff. Then I might be like, pipe down a bit.
No, it's about who you want to sit at the table with, right? There are some people who talk about other people, and there are other people
Yeah.
that talk about ideas and projects.
That's what I'm trying to say. So would you say, in terms of your personality type, are you sensing or intuition? Senses focus on concrete facts and details, while intuitives look for patterns and possibilities in the big picture. I know which one I would say I was. What would you say?
What would you say?
What would you say? I would say I'm an intuitive.
I'm more the opposite. I've always been super intuitive.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, it was just based on feelings. It wasn't facts.
Yeah.
If my dad or mom had to ask me, why do you feel this way? Why are you scared this is going to happen? Or why do you think this? I couldn't pinpoint any facts that could support my feelings.
Okay.
Now, instead, I'm still intuitive, but I'm able to be sensing about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so observant about minuscule details that maybe some people overpass, and that's why it transforms in intuition, because those details people might not pick up on, and actually they might actually communicate something to you, like body language.
Okay.
Small example, but you can read a lot about a person or what they're trying to say, even just by observing how they say it, how they move. However, I do, focus on facts as well. Like, I do look at facts. I do try and back up my intuition with maybe recurring events that happened in the past, like patterns.
Yeah.
Because more than, words or actions, patterns really communicate the most to me about people.
Definitely. That's how we get our facts, isn't it, basically? But I have a bit of a issue with the word fact. Because as I've got older, I realised that people just say things are facts. You can find facts in any argument to favour your opinion. A lot of facts are just actually very strong opinions, and people don't accept that.
But that's where I think differently.
Yeah.
I think there's a very clear, what's the word? Distinction that people don't make between perception, feelings, and a fact.
Okay.
Like, facts are not perceptions. If we want to talk about a book, if a book is interesting or not, that's not a fact. That's a perception.
Give me a fact and let me see if I will convince you that it's not a fact.
A fact. Okay, this is gonna stir so much comments in your podcast.
Oh no! What if it doesn't now? That's not a fact.
No, but I'm gonna say it. I haven't said
Oh
it
no!
yet.
It's gonna be controversial.
Yeah, very controversial for nowadays.
I'm
2024. A fact is, I'm a woman.
Okay.
Biologically, chromosomally, scientifically, my chromosomes and, my organs and what I produce, biologically, I'm a woman. They're identified as a man or a table or, that's a different matter.
You know,
we're going to hate me.
No. I feel like I've got an intelligent audience and they wouldn't just attack you. They would have an interesting debate, let's say.
We're curious about your comments.
Let's move on then. So thinking versus, again, continue with the personality types. Thinking versus feeling. Thinkers make decisions based on logic and reason, while feelers prioritize values and emotions in decision making. Oh, it's a tough one.
As I mentioned before, we're all everything. But we do have a preference. And since I was a kid, definitely, as I was an intuitive person and I couldn't pinpoint the facts, I was obviously a feeler person. I prioritize my personal values and emotions upon decision making. So let's say, for example, I had a friend and she'd made a mistake and everybody, bullied her for it, I would defend her because even if she's in the wrong, she's my friend. And that's the decision you make upon your values, because you value your friend more than what's wrong and right. Now, with life being quite hard, I still am a feeling person, I think, but I do sometimes go on the T. So one rule for all.
So it's like, describe that.
So it's not about my feelings, it's more about what's right and wrong.
Okay.
So that's different, right?
Yeah.
So probably it's become because I've been betrayed a lot, I've been let down a lot, and sometimes now I do feel like in certain situations, I believe this is a rule that should be applied to everybody. If you're not following it,
that's good. That's good. Setting boundaries.
that's probably what's happened.
Yeah. It's so strange because I was talking to my sister about this. I was like, I had higher boundaries when I was younger, but I didn't know if I felt like it was making me cold. As of recently, I realized, I'm feeling too much now. Now it
hurts.
I'm trying to find a balance.
Yeah.
But I would say
feelers definitely get hurt a lot more.
Yeah.
Because you're following your emotions and not everybody corresponds to that. Not everybody has your same kind of priorities and values. Like for you, that person, that friend of yours, you value them because they're your friend, and for them, they might value their personal.
And that's what I've realized. That's what people do. I'm like having all these feelings, and these people are thinking, what's in it for me? And I'm not thinking that. And I'm like, I need to. And I used to be like that, but harshly. And now I realize that you need to find a balance.
Yeah. Also, I've been brought up with a lot of tough love.
Okay.
As I mentioned in our first podcast, I'm a supportive tough love, and that does bring out your thinking personality, because people have not had that, it's okay, we understand, we justify your action kind of behavior. I don't agree with that. If something is wrong, you might want to understand what's caused you to make that mistake, but it doesn't justify it. If it's wrong, end of.
Okay.
Like, you can go and understand what's the process that's made you make that mistake, but that process, whatever the reason, doesn't justify you and the action.
Of course, I do struggle to hold people accountable. I'm learning how to do that.
Yeah.
I've tried, I'm testing that out at the moment.
And I believe thinkers do that more. Like, this is a rule, you've broken it, not good. However, at heart, in my nature, I'm a feeler.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a definite F. However, I do go on the T as well sometimes.
Okay.
Now, but never when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was a full F.
A full feeler. I heard something the other day, and I don't know, you said something that reminded me of this. All love is conditional except between a mother and a child. And everyone, that was true. I that's what I heard, and I was like, she said, otherwise it has to be conditional. You have your love for your friends has to be conditional.
I can't do that.
Your love for your spouse has to be conditional. But only with a mother and child, it has to be unconditional. That's why I heard of that sprinkle. Like, it was her that said that, and I was like, that's interesting.
It's a very interesting quote. It's quite harsh, though.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I wonder if she's always been like that, or something caused her to.
Have you heard it? No, she teaches women how to be gold diggers, basically.
Oh, really? Well, that says it all, baby.
And she teaches women how to,
gold dig.
Preach. I don't know if she teaches or she preaches that women should see men as no more than a financial asset, and you can.
She must have been hurt a lot.
I don't want to get into it. I don't watch her videos. She's just quite popular, so I don't really.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's a smart way of thinking. It will avoid you from getting hurt if you can think like that. Because there are some out there.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So let's move. Let's
Let's
move
move
along.
on.
Yeah. So
Podcast for another day.
yeah. So next question: judging versus perceiving. Are you a judger or a perceiver? Judges prefer structure and planning, while perceivers are flexible and open to new experiences, often delaying decisions to explore options. What would you say, a judger or a perceiver?
Oh. Hmm.
Shall I give you more information?
Yeah, give me more
Okay,
information.
okay. So perceivers. So I'm gonna run through it quite fairly fast. So perceivers are adaptable and flexible, preferring to go with the flow. Rather than follow a strict plan, they are open to new experiences. They also enjoy exploring possibilities and keeping their options open. Perceivers are creative, imaginative, often seeing the big picture. Perceivers may procrastinate on making decisions as they prefer to gather more information and consider multiple perspectives before committing. They are spontaneous and enjoy the thrill of discovering new opportunities. Perceivers value freedom and may struggle with rigid structures, whereas getting there, judges are prefer structure and organization in their lives. They like to plan ahead, set goals, and follow schedules. They tend to be decisive, assertive in decision making based on logic and reason. They value clarity and closure. Judges are focused on achieving goals and meeting deadlines. They take methodical approaches to tasks and prefer order over spontaneity. And you can see the comparisons at the bottom. Do you want me to read the comparisons? You feel like-
Yeah, I get the picture. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure people get the picture
Yeah.
as well. It's a really tough one. You know, I've done this MBTI test when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and then I did it again with my father a few years back when something quite traumatic happened at home. And it really, I mean, with that event, plus other events in the past that really changed my character, I believe what he thought I was, because he was like, you're an ENFP, so perceiver.
Yeah.
And back then, when I did the test, because you actually have to answer questions of how you would react or behave or think or decide anything, and you've got an A, B, C, D question, I ended up being ENTJ. Like my more creative side, when I was like, you know, dancing and just thinking about my creativity and doing what I love. And it's about doing what you love in life and freedom and, you know, peace. Yeah, I'm that kind of person. But then when certain things happen and you have to make really, really hard decisions, you can't be going on, oh, but you've got to put yourself in their shoes and understand. No, this is the rule. This is right. This is wrong. We have to analyze this based on that. For a few years, I have been J, structuring my days, got my objectives. Every day I had to do that list, otherwise I could not go to sleep. It was also helping me with my self-confidence and my self-esteem, because you feel good when you get things done. Now I'm a bit more like, okay, let's see what I want to do. Let's see if, you know, gathering more information and going more with the flow. But I'll tell you something, I am a bit more lost.
I feel like in modern society, like the structure of it is practically impossible if you didn't have like the judge's personality type, because you need structure and you need so
Some people need that though, like they need to have a 9 to 5 so they know what they're doing and they have motivation.
But I feel like even it's not even if you it's not about a matter of like it's not about 9 to 5, because even as a musician, if you were like not able to like meet deadlines, that would be ridiculous. So like to work effectively with others, I feel like deep down, like you have to be a J to a certain extent to even achieve anything in this society. Otherwise, you'd feel So I feel like in some sense, as you were talking, I was thinking I was definitely a perceiver, but as you were talking, I feel like society has molded us into like capitalism has molded us into a lot of us into the first one. So we're moving on to the next question. So various mental health challenges can impact our identity and how others perceive us. As a health and social care professional, in regards to mental health challenges, we are taught to focus on why are you feeling so much anger in your emotions, as opposed to why is that person angry all the time. But obviously you're focusing on the person, but not as such like attaching them to the behavior, like separate it a bit. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. However, I feel like in the wider world, we've often failed to extend that level of empathy and understanding to each other. Have you ever experienced a mental health challenge for which you felt you were not extended appropriate levels of empathy or understanding? Alternatively, if you don't want to answer that question, because I know it's a very like a vulnerable, sensitive topic, do you feel like you have witnessed others facing challenges and you have unfortunately been the person that you felt like, oh, I didn't understand, and you could have extended them more empathy? Yeah. So common mental health challenges that people face are depression, anxiety disorders, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer your first question. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's very deep.
Yeah.
And
because even though people, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but even though people say that they do understand it's okay not to be okay, I actually feel like
they don't.
It's not actually, because when someone's displaying their like, they very much like tell you stop being mentally unwell.
Yeah.
And when you tell people I'm going for something, I'm not well, that's not an excuse, they say.
Yeah, because you always hear the people judging people for what they do. Like, I fully understood what you, with your question. Like, rather than looking at the effect, why don't you look at the cause of the effect?
Yeah.
You know, why is that person behaving in that way, rather than judging what they're doing?
Yeah.
And that's definitely something most of society does nowadays. However, as I said before, whatever the cause is, doesn't necessarily, for me, justify the action.
Yeah.
So if you feel angry all the time, okay, let's go and look at why you feel angry all the time. Might be because you're going through this kind of abusive behavior at home with your partner or whatever, and maybe that's stirring anger into you and a lot of stress, whatever the reasons are. But that doesn't make it okay for you to then maltreat other people around you.
Yeah, of course.
So people have to still be held accountable for their actions, because let's not forget, like, that's how, you know, criminals and so well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, they have their reasons as well. Most of them, there's always a cause to that kind of behavior, and unless obviously you're born a sociopath, narcissist, you know, with antisocial behavior disorder.
Yeah.
However, I do believe there is only one reason why maybe that person can't be held accountable, knowing quite a lot about mental health, because unfortunately I have witnessed it and gone through it in multiple different ways. A person can't be held accountable when they don't have the ability to decide, and that can be whether when they're in psychosis. I don't know if you've ever been with somebody when they're in psychosis, they're gone.
Okay.
Whoever they're like behaving, their mind has gone. They're in a delusional state. And they could be anything between thinking they're a butterfly and just like being all nice and pretty, to being violent, to, you know, extreme actions of,
like that recent unfortunate incident where a young boy was stabbed because the guy had a machete. Did you hear about that?
I heard about that.
Yeah, so that's I think he was.
He might have been under psychosis.
Yeah, I think I read that he was. So.
Yeah. Oh, he was.
Yeah, I read that he was. He was
that wouldn't
going around saying,
me.
"Do you believe in God?" And that's what.
That's another interesting thing that I noticed. When people go into psychosis, they've got a lot of this. Oh my God, I can't find the words today, but it's always about the devil or God, angels, you know, the supernatural, the other life, whether you believe in it or not. But it's very connected to that.
Can be quite often, can't it? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, most of the times I've seen that
Because
connection.
your ad can go a bit like, because when you're stating things as facts, and then your head will go off into like a, yeah,
Yeah.
let's not go there.
No, but like again,
it's
for
really
me-
complicated, isn't
yeah,
it?
but for me, there, like the fact is that guy killed those people with a machete. That's a fact. Okay,
Definitely.
that's not a perception or a feeling. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Now, perception, opinion, judge it, like the judgment of it is the why.
Mm-hmm.
We can go and discuss the reasons why. We're not God. We're not going to know for a fact what's happened.
Yeah.
But we can have our, opinions upon it.
I feel like in this country, we do have like a deep understanding of like mental, like not when I say deep, like deeper than some other countries, like understanding of like mental health. So like we do try to, if for example, when charging people for crimes, assess them to see if it is generally mental health. It's so hard, but it's so hard because I feel like surely anyone that does that is mentally ill, but at the same time, we need to have laws and regulate, like, because we can't just have people going around acting, violent and saying it's mental health, but technically anyone that does that is technically.
Yeah,
that's the strange thing.
absolutely.
Even if you are just nasty person, it is a mental health issue. Even being a horrible person that only cares about themselves, that's a deep rooted mental health issue.
Yes, absolutely. That's why you can't justify it. But that's why I believe people have to be held accountable for their actions. I know the word narcissism is dropped everywhere, like it's nothing nowadays, and the true meaning of it is a lot deeper and darker than what people think. Unless you haven't been through it, you wouldn't know. And that's, a mental health disorder.
It is.
It's a personality disorder.
I feel that because borderline personality disorder, it can be really evil. Like, like people, you associate with people like, do you ever watch that movie with was it called Split? I can't remember. Where this guy was...
That's not borderline though.
Was he not? He was working in a zoo or something. I can't remember. That one. He was working in a zoo. Then he had a... Yeah, like borderline personality. So when
Split is DID. Is
unstable self-image. It is like a split personality. Borderline it can be like you can be one extreme to the next. It is connected to borderline.
Yeah,
split personality and borderline.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There has been
people with borderline personality
that.
disorders can have split personalities. That's what
yeah. But apparently, even the others. Apparently, actually, we all have it.
Yeah.
If you notice, people behave differently depending on where they are, who they are with. It's very rare somebody is exactly the same everywhere or with anyone.
Yeah. So I was saying with borderline person, I feel like because it can be so dark, I feel like even if you had like problematic behaviors and you, like, for example, I've heard of I've heard of people, for example, that when like you said, when they're hanging around with certain people, they might do things that are regrettable, and but that's kind of, I feel like a lot of people, I see it in a lot of people, which you've like you were just discussing, but I feel like because it's got such a bad rap, people say, no, you've got ADHD, but I'm like, no, I see it, but obviously I'm not a psychologist, and this is just from my observations, but I see a lot of people, everyone like being diagnosed with other mental health disorders. When I sometimes observe major traits of the borderline personality disorder, there's not enough people in the public eye that have got borderline borderline personality disorder, so for people to feel comfortable. Oh, hi, I've got that too. Do you know what I mean? But when more people in the public eye started saying, oh, I've got dyslexia, I've got ADHD, a lot of other people did. But there's not enough people in the public like that.
Like, yeah, I've got to be,
people will be like, oh, that means you're capable of doing this. People assume it's that you're capable of
because it's exposing quite a lot. BBD is very heavy.
There is one person that actually came out with Trisha Paytas. I don't know if you know her. She's a famous YouTuber, but she's like really extreme. Like, she's done a lot of things, and she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and she would have episodes. And so but she's married, and she's ended like, she has less episodes now because she really worked on herself. She stopped, she went sober. That really helps with drugs. But people blame alcohol and drugs, but people are using it as a coping mechanism. So sometimes, even if you took that, I know people that can suffer extreme mental health. You can have psychosis. They don't need the drugs. So do you know what I mean? To have the
well, sometimes you're born with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, when you're born with it, it means it's genetic, obviously. But usually there are 3 factors when it comes to mental health or personality disorders, which is genetics, trauma, and environment. And also, I believe also what kind of character you've got, because we have something that we have a part of us that molds, like it changes, but then there's a core essence of us that remains kind of the same. And obviously external factors can influence that part of you that can mold. And if you've got the genetics, so you're prone to have it, and then you've got trauma on top of it, then you can, get a mental health or a personality disorder.
Yeah, definitely.
But with the alcohol and drugs, obviously they can be triggers. As much as people use it for coping mechanism, and it could work for some people, but not for the rest of your life. They will always cause some kind of damage. Some people have 1-2 joints and they go into psychosis.
Wow, that's crazy.
And other people smoke and other people smoke joints all their life and they're okay.
Yeah, so but as the question was, do you feel like there's, we really got into it there, but I feel like I kind of just answered the question, because I felt like when Trisha Paytas came out with borderline personality disorder, no one cared. She still gets people going, you need to change your crappy I don't know, she's married now with a child, and she's changed, she's grown so much, but you still get people attacking her for her past behavior. Obviously she's a celebrity, she's quite successful. Imagine if you'd done all this work on yourself and people are like, I remember 10 years ago. Trisha Paytas is a good example, because some people can't move on from her past.
Because either people have their own problems, their own mental health, that they might not even realize. Because remember, the first step is in realizing it, admitting it, being aware of it. And a lot of people nowadays don't even know.
Britney Spears, like you said,
I love Britney.
I feel like that's someone that wasn't extended a lot of empathy when she was having her mental health challenges. What's interesting is the fact that, like, obviously her personality has changed and her identity has changed because of her mental health challenges, but she's harmless. You know what I mean? She's doing funny little cute dances.
I mean, I don't know if it's her.
You don't think, that's another whole...
I know, but it doesn't look like her.
Can I say something? As someone that has observed a genuine person that faced mental health challenges, when I seen this person again, I could not believe it was the same person. It's funny how your personality changes, and then your body changes, and then everything changes about you. Like, it's so, the science is such a fascinating topic, actually, how your mental health can actually change your whole appearance.
Well,
but I feel like it's a little bit harsh because if it, like, to say, that's not you, and that's it. Like, if someone's going through mental health challenges and you turn around and accuse them of, like, oh no, that's not the same person.
I completely agree, because I've had it on my own body. Like, people haven't recognized me, or they've said that you've changed a lot.
That's interesting.
I mean, some people put on weight, some people lose weight.
Yes.
If you go through, even traumatic experiences, it doesn't necessarily
change your
mean...
face. It can literally change your face. I learned that. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It can even make you ill, babe, but like physically ill. I know people
Of
that
course,
have
yeah.
been through so much, they got diabetes out of nowhere,
It's so
you know?
cool.
So, yeah.
So I'm gonna move on to the final question now. That's okay, cool. So that's good. The last question, I feel like we've kind of answered it already, but I'm gonna see if we can because we had quite a long conversation in regards to the personality types. So I feel like we've kind of covered it, but I'm gonna ask it anyway.
Okay.
So personality types plays a significant role in shaping our identity in the world, affecting personal relationships and how others perceive us. Reflect on how, for example, reflected on my extrovertedness has influenced me. I've noticed both positive and negative impacts. For instance, my extroversion sometimes it leads to others perceiving me as shallow or less intelligent than I truly am because I talk a lot sometimes. This can also result in misjudgments about my self-esteem, as I may seem as I may come across as if I'm trying too hard. Contrastingly, if I was more introverted, I feel like people would see me. I would probably be more mindful of my actions because I feel like extrovertedness sometimes makes me like, I'm gonna say this to this person and I don't really care about, like, I'm not overthinking it. Do you know what I mean? And I'd probably be more mindful of like, is this am I bombarding this person? But I'm not thinking about it that I'm just being authentically myself. But I feel like if I was more introvert, I'd be more mindful of my actions and, my even how I communicate with others and be seen as more confident and intelligent and sophisticated. And I feel like, so basically, like, the question is, because I kind of gave you quite a lot of information there. Do you see how your personality type has affected your personal relationships and how others perceive you?
It's a tough question because I feel like a lot of people actually don't know me
Yeah.
because I'm very reserved
Okay.
and I will only show what I want to show you.
Yeah.
It's not to manipulate you because it's not about manipulation. It's about keeping my weaknesses reserved.
Yeah.
Because I have been hurt a lot.
Mhm.
And it's a weird one because I say I don't trust and then I always end up trusting the wrong people. I don't know about you, but that's what happens to me.
So you feel like others can't even perceive you. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Let's say like so perception. Do you know, in terms of leaders, I feel like an issue in our world today is that there's so many people that could be leaders, and because they're not this extroverted personality, that they're not deemed that. And I feel like sometimes that really does. I feel so no. Like, I feel like sometimes the person with the biggest mouth, and sometimes the person with the biggest mouth has not got the smartest. I even know someone that talks a lot. I would even say that's true. Like, just because I'm saying the most, it doesn't mean I'm the best for the job.
I believe freedom of speech is actually being really put down. It's about how big your pocket is and who you know.
Oh yeah, so yeah, definitely.
I think that.
So yeah, so how, like, in terms of, yeah, that is so true, because politics is a lot about
Who your daddy
money.
is.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
You just like,
it's about money and who you know.
And that's all for this episode of the Leading in Love podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I've got some exciting news also. The next episode of the Leading in Love podcast will be filmed in Los Angeles, so do look out for that.
Yeah, that's a wrap. So, yeah, join us next time, and remember, guys, be kind to yourself, each other, and the planet. Until next time, guys, bye.